Hi, this is Ann Hackman Green Talk, and we're here today with Beth Terry. She's the editor of My Plastic Free Life, as well as the new book, Plastic Free, How I Kicked the Plastic Habit and You Can Too. Beth, I love that title. That's a great title for a book. Now, I just want to give a little segue before we go into the interview with Beth. Beth actually is my hero, and Beth, don't blush. I mean, Beth actually changed the whole way that I look at plastic, and I've never looked at plastic differently now. And Beth has shown me why we need to reduce our consumption with plastic, and I'm going to get right into it with Beth and give Beth the floor. Beth, what happened in your life that all of a sudden you went plastic free?
Well, it started 5 years ago. I really didn't know there was much of a problem with plastic. And then one night I happened to be browsing the internet and I stumbled across an article about the plastic pollution problem in the ocean. Apparently, at that time, we knew that there was a swirling sort of vortex of plastic in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And now we know that there are these vortexes in all of the oceans of the world. But at that time, I'd never heard anything about this. And so it shocked me. But what really shocked me was a photo that I saw in that article of a dead albatross chick. And all you could see were the bones, and the body was just completely full of plastic pieces, plastic bottle caps, and just everyday kinds of plastic that I was using personally in my everyday life. And this was thousands of miles from the coast of the United States or Japan. It was halfway between. And so this plastic, the article went on to say, was coming from us, coming from land. It was being washed away into the ocean, and these animals were eating it. And I was shocked, and I was profoundly saddened when I read this, because I really love animals so much. And I looked at my life and I thought, I'm doing this, I'm contributing to this in a way that I hadn't realized. And so I decided to figure out what it would be like to see if I could live without buying any new plastic or acquiring any new plastic. I didn't know if it was possible, but I just wanted to give it a chance. And I also decided to look and see what my personal plastic footprint was by collecting all my plastic waste every week and then taking a picture of it and tallying it up and putting it up on my blog, which at the time I called Fake Plastic Fish, but now it's myplasticfreelife.com. And now I have my plastic waste down to about 2 pounds per year, which is less than 2% of the U.S. average of just plastic that we throw away at home. And that includes both recyclable and non-recyclable. But it's been a 5-year process.
But see, you actually just brought something up that was really important. You said recyclable and non-recyclable, because a lot of people will say, but Beth, I recycle my plastic, I'm not throwing it in the ocean, I'm doing a good thing. And what is your response to that?
My response is that plastic recycling, while it might be necessary to deal with the waste that we end up with, it should be a very last step because it's problematic. Most of the plastic recycling in the United States and other countries gets shipped to China, where the recycling is done under poor environmental conditions. The workers are not necessarily protected. China uses a lot of really dirty energy, and they don't have the same environmental standards that we do here. And maybe ours aren't that great, but theirs are worse. So that's what happens with plastic recycling. And then it's actually downcycling, because you don't close the loop. A plastic bottle isn't recycled into another plastic bottle. It's recycled into polar fleece or carpet. And then those things are usually not recycled any further. So when you recycle plastic, you really just slow down the process from cradle to grave, but it's going to end up in the landfill eventually, and then it's going to last forever because it doesn't biodegrade.
So what about the health aspect of plastic? I know you've written about that as well on your blog.
Yeah. Well, plastic contains all kinds of additives, and even plastics that are supposedly BPA-free or phthalate-free, plastics that don't contain these toxic chemicals that we're aware of, they can contain thousands of other additives. And in the United States, plastics manufacturers are not required to disclose any of those additives. So we really have no idea what could be leaching out of the plastic. And anytime plastic is subjected to heat or rough handling or just age, it breaks down over time and it leaches whatever additives are in it. And so some of the BPA-free alternatives that companies have come up with have actually been found to produce some of the same hormone disrupting effects as BPA and other kinds of additives. So I personally don't eat or drink out of plastic because I just don't feel comfortable um, with not knowing what could be leaching out of it.
So if you could give five things, and I know your book is chock full of more than five, ideas. Let me see the
My
book.
is really fat
But,
and full of solutions. Okay.
but give me five things that you think that could start people on their journey and it's kind of a no-brainer.
Well, for me, the very first thing was bringing my own reusable grocery bag with me to the store because I used to take double plastic bags all the time on purpose. And when I discovered Chico bags, which are actually made out of polyester, which is a kind of plastic, but they scrunch up into their own little tiny stuff sack, and I can put several of them in my purse so that I'm never, ever, ever without a reusable bag anymore. That was the first step for me. And then the second step was to just stop with the bottled water and get a reusable stainless steel bottle now or a travel mug and just never drink bottled beverages again. And then after that, it's really up to, it's not really one size fits all because everybody has different steps that are easy for them where they live or depending on their circumstances. One thing that you can do is try to resist taking produce bags because a lot of produce you can put in your reusable bag just naked. You don't need a separate produce bag for it. And then for smaller things, there are reusable produce bags that you can get. And I have resources for all kinds of different kinds of bags and different kinds of containers in my book. And then shopping at the farmer's market, shopping at stores that have bulk bins where you can fill your own containers. And then another thing that I do is whenever I go out, I bring my own bamboo utensils. And I even have a glass drinking straw that I bring with me everywhere. And containers, if I'm going to go out to eat, I bring a container with me in case there are leftovers because I don't want to take that disposable restaurant packaging home with me either. And then the last thing is that on my blog, I have something called the Show Your Plastic Trash Challenge. And that is a way for people to really see what their personal plastic footprint is and figure out what steps they personally should take. And so it's based on what I did from the beginning. You collect your plastic trash for a week, and then at the end of the week, you take a picture of it and you tally it up and you answer some questions about it. And you can upload it to my blog if you want to go public, or you can just do it privately. And in the book, there's actually a worksheet for doing that. And that way, you can see what you're actually using on a daily basis, and then step by step by step, try to figure out some alternatives. And the main thing is, I try to tell everyone they should not try to do this all at one time, because it's taken me 5 years. And if you try to do it, go cold turkey and not use any plastic, that's, to me, a recipe for failure because people get overwhelmed. And the last thing I want is for people to get overwhelmed. I really just want people to be mindful of the choices that they're making.
And one thing else that you point out in your blog a lot is, a lot of people can be reacted to the plastic issues with buying different products that don't contain plastic. So they're telling those companies, I don't want to buy this because of your packaging. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Well, there are all kinds of things that you can do. There are all kinds of alternatives that you can purchase instead of plastic. One thing you can do is just decide you don't need something in the first place, because reducing consumption is probably the most eco-friendly thing we can do. But then there are also all kinds of ways to avoid plastic. There are shampoo bars that you can get instead of shampoo that comes in a plastic bottle. There are various kinds of tooth powders and tooth tablets that you can get instead of toothpaste. You name it. The book is just full of all kinds of suggestions like that. And the main thing is that our personal individual actions might not seem to make a huge difference when you look at the scale of the problem, but the more we support small companies that are creating alternative products, the more we're helping to create an economy and a world where these alternatives are available to more people, I think.
See, that's a great point. And on your blog, you a lot of times will feature those companies. So anybody can go on your blog and do a search. And
really cool one recently, actually I can show you this. I don't know if most people realize this, but chewing gum is actually made from plastic. And there's a chemical called polyvinyl acetate, which is what most gum bases are made out of. And then even chewing gums that are not made from plastic themselves usually come in plastic containers. But I just discovered this chewing gum called Peppersmith, um, which is made in the UK, and it just comes in a box, and it doesn't have any plastic in the gum or plastic in the box.
How
So
is it?
it tastes good. It's natural, so it loses the initial flavor is really good, but it kind of loses flavor quicker than like a Wrigley's would, I think. Um, I'm personally not a big gum chewer. They also make mints, and I like the mints better. um, but for people who really enjoy chewing gum, I think it's a better alternative because it's not toxic.
What's but the good thing about when you start to think about not using plastic, you start to look at life a lot differently. And we have a saying in our little Green Moms group is, "What would Beth do?" And actually now we've even abbreviated it with initials, whatever that is what would Beth do? And it actually has made a lot of us start to open up our eyes on, like you said, do we really need it? One. Two, if we do need it,
Right,
is there another alternative? And if there
right.
is an alternative, what about doing it yourself? It's like it opens up your whole world to thinking differently. Tell us about your book. You have this great book and the story behind how it actually was put together, the actual physical production of it.
Well, I was really lucky to find a publisher that was committed to creating this book without any plastic. And you might not think that a hardback book has plastic in it, but most of them have plastic coating on the cover, plastic glue in the binding, plastic thread or polyester thread. And this book was made plastic free. Um,
Beth, you have to put it when you show it on screen, put it like almost in front of your face. Because it's, yeah.
is that good?
Yeah, move it back just a little bit so people could see it better. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. That's good.
Um, so the cover is just plain cardboard that's not coated with anything, and the binding it's sewn with cotton thread, and the jacket is just plain craft paper, and it's all recycled. And the beautiful thing about this book is that even though it's natural, I mean, I think you could compost this book when it wears out, if it ever wears out. It's a really beautiful design, and the publishing company that created it, they they made just some really lovely design decisions. There are profiles in the book of other people who have gone beyond personal actions. There are chapters on all different types of plastic-free alternatives. And there are tips, like there are these little green tip boxes all through the book from other readers of my blog who had just sharing ways that they get around using plastic in their lives. Anna, you have one in here too.
Uh-oh.
There's a whole chapter on why can't we just recycle it all, which is what we were just talking about. And there are recipes in the book. This is a recipe for homemade sugar wax that you can use to shave your legs, to wax your legs. There's a recipe for ketchup. There's all kinds of. Here's a recipe for homemade yogurt. And it has a lot of personal stories in it, not just my stories, but other people's stories too. So I'm absolutely thrilled with the way this turned out. I mean, it just makes me so happy. Oh, and also, Anna, I have a blurb from Jack Johnson on the back cover. So that makes me a little bit happy too.
Who's Jack Johnson?
Ah, that's funny. People are going to laugh. Jack Johnson is a musician.
Okay. Sorry about that. But it's
We'll talk.
you're gonna have to tell me offline who all the story behind that. What I love is the enthusiasm and the community that you've created on My Plastic Free Life, because it's not just your journey, it's a lot of other people's journeys and the input that they put in as well. I always put in my gardening input on your website.
I
Beth,
know you do. That's fun.
yeah, I
Uh-huh.
know. I'm a little obsessed. I'm gonna admit it. That there's like AA for gardeners, I probably would be there every single day. But one thing I want to take one takeaway from all of this, and you mentioned about not doing it all at one time,
Mhm.
that it can be overwhelming. And and some people may want to do it for the health reasons, some people may want to do it for the environment, and some people may want to do it for both. And
Mhm.
and I see your journey as ever going. It's not like you wrote the book and you're done. You keep expanding and you keep growing and you keep and that's actually what the journey is.
Right. And in fact, I have a on the book page on my website, on the page about the book, there's a link for updates, and I've already started chapter by chapter putting updates because information always changes, or I get new information. So, for example, that gum is not in the book because I didn't know about it at the time when the book was written. So I've added information about that. So the book and the website sort of go together, but what's great about the book is that it's organized chapter by chapter, step by step, with lots of worksheets and lots of lists and lots of, it just really makes it easier, I think, for people to get started and get inspired, and then they can keep going through the website and through the community of other people on the website. Because honestly, I mean, I didn't figure out all this stuff by myself. I had help from everybody who reads my blog and in the Green Moms group, and all the awesome people that I've met online.
Now, where do we get your book?
It's available everywhere. I just went. I just stopped at a random bookstore this morning and checked to see if they had it, and they said, "Oh yeah, we only have one left. Would you like to sign it?"
Oh, that's so exciting.
I know.
But you tell us about Buy Green, how they're actually sending out your book.
So if you you can go in and you can order the book from your local bookstore, an independent bookstore. I definitely recommend. If you'd rather order it through the mail, instead of choosing Amazon, which of course Amazon is cheaper, but there's no guarantee what kind of packaging they will ship the book in. If you want to make sure that your book comes to you without plastic packaging, you can go to buygreen.com, and there's actually a link on my website for the very specific page to buy the book on that website. I've had a little trouble using the search on their website to find it, so it's probably easier if you just go to myplasticfreelife.com and click the link. And they have agreed to ship all the books without any plastic packaging. And Anna, Doug, he doesn't ship anything with plastic.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that I'm selling individual copies of the book directly on my site through PayPal for people who want them signed. And that is the full cover price plus shipping, but I'm donating $2 per book to the Plastic Pollution Coalition. So if somebody wants it signed and they want a donation to the PPC, that's another option.
Wow, that's exciting. Beth, I wish you the best of luck. You and I are friends, so a little disclaimer here. Beth and I are friends, and Beth and I will be talking forever and ever and ever. But I really urge everybody to go to My Plastic Free Life. It's a wonderful blog, Beth. It's so full of community, that's what I really love, and I love your readers and the people who comment. The whole concept. So everybody. When I go back and edit the video, I will put the links up that Beth has spoken about, so you can see them actually on the website, and it will also be in the description on Green Talk, so that it makes it easier for you to have to go back and forth. But Beth, I wish you best of luck with your book. I think this is a slam dunk. I think you're going to open up a lot of people's minds to not realizing what they're doing, and I think that's part of it. People really don't realize. And once they do start realizing, and like you said, one small action makes a lot of bigger actions. And it just takes one, and it starts the ball rolling. And thank goodness back in 2007, you saw what you saw. I mean, it was sad, but it was actually, if you wouldn't be My Plastic Free Life without it.
I know. I'm so grateful to the authors who wrote that article, and to Captain Charles Moore, who he discovered the plastic in the garbage patch in the ocean, and instead of just looking at it and going, oh, that's a shame, I mean, he became an activist, and he has dedicated his whole life to doing something about it. So, there are all these people that have gone before, and all these people that are realizing now, and I am hoping with this book that people will start with personal actions, personal changes in their own lives, and then ask themselves, what more can I do? What more can I do to help the world change it or to help other people change?
That's a very noble goal. Thank you, Beth, so much. And I'm sure we'll be talking another time on Green Talk. And everybody, thank you for listening. Make sure that you click the links also to subscribe to the videos. We have wonderful people on the webs on the the videos and great people like Beth. And we'll talk soon, Beth.
Thank you, Anna.